Hello and good morning, everyone. Welcome to this week's unbelievably hot off the presses episode of Breakfast with Boom. I'm your host, Mr. Boomstick XL, and we have an outstanding panel along with some incredibly breaking news topics that are going to fill up 2 hours of your morning. So grab your hot cup of coffee, your bacon, egg, and cheese, whatever, and sit down, kick those feet up, and get ready to talk about gaming and start your weekend off in the best way possible. So, of course, we're going to start with introductions and then get right into, of course, the topics. First up, he's one of the newest members of the Breakfast with Boom family. He's here every week, and when he's not here, he's chainsawing people in half, kicking ass, taking names, and playing retro games on the incredible Retro Renegades. Please welcome Crispy Bomb.
Oh, good morning. Good morning, chat. Good morning, everybody. King's in the house, baby. We're ready to roll today. Woo!
Yes. Well, it's good to have you back here, dude. Obviously, you bring a lot to this channel as well as this particular podcast. So really happy to have you a part of this program, and it's going to be an amazing show. Next up, he is the subtle voice of something called the Trophy Room. He's also on loan from the PlayStation Nation, so we have to make sure that we polish him up real nice when we return him at the end of the show. Please welcome Mr. Bad Bit.
Papa Ryan says I had to be home by 6. Yo, I'm so happy to be here. And let me tell you something. Halo Wars has been an addiction for me for a while now, right? Since we've been really.
Yeah, I saw some of the stuff that you and Luke have been doing. It's incredible.
Let me tell you something. Last night, back-to-back wins, and then we just got mollywopped. Right now, I'm going to be honest with you guys. Right before the show, one-on-one fight with this guy. You know, these kids got to know their place, right? They got to know where Bad Bit's at. It doesn't matter what platform you're on. If I get there, I'm just going to squash you. That's it. That's the end of the conversation. You know, that's where I'm at right now. I'm in the competitive spirit. I'm in a great mood. You know, I'm doing good. I'm feeling good.
Well, it's great to have you here, and of course, you know, you strut that stuff in Halo 2. I'm gonna say Halo Wars 2, and let's get into, of course, someone that has been here more times in the last couple of weeks than most people. He's the powerful voice on the Iron Lords podcast. He's a representative of the Marvel and DC universe with his incredible King of Statues platform that he has. Please welcome King David.
Hey, Boom, Crispy, Mr. Bad Bit. Boom, we are in the building. We got a lot of news, and dudes is not going to like us today.
Well, it's going to be interesting because we're going to break things down. Now, obviously, you see that we are missing one panel member. We are awaiting, of course, our brethren to be here, and that is BitCloud Gaming. He should be here momentarily. Hopefully, he didn't, of course, oversleep.
Hopefully, they saw BitCloud and I one-on-one. That was really good this week. That went down on Wednesday, guys. Yes. I hope y'all saw that.
Yeah, that was something else. That was good, and hopefully we can get Ryan on here today to talk about that. But you know what? Let's get right into some breaking news, and in what people and some people actually are calling shots fired in the gaming industry. Sony has pulled off a move that no one saw coming. And it appears that both Sony and Epic Games have been doing the nasty behind closed doors. And in one of the biggest WTFs of 2020, it was announced yesterday that the Sony Corporation has invested $250 million into Epic Games, taking a minority interest in the developers of Unreal Engine 4, soon to be Unreal Engine 5, a tool being used by everyone that is obviously designing games moving forward into this generation. So it is a power move indeed. Now, in a story that I pulled from VentureBeat, under the deal, the investment enables Sony and Epic to broaden their collaborations with Sony's portfolio of entertainment assets and technology, and Epic's social entertainment platform, as well as their digital ecosystem. Think Fortnite's increasing use as a social space or Epic Games Store. Now, to create unique unique experiences for the consumer and creators, this is a deal that's probably going to work both ways for both Epic and Sony. Now, the closing of the investment is subject to, of course, the closing conditions, including regulatory approvals, but that is expected to happen with no problem. Now, here are two press releases from both Sony and Epic Games regarding this, and then we're going to get into, of course, the panel and the chat's opinions on how big or small of a deal this is. Now, just for clarity here, Sony is acquiring a 1.4% stake in Epic Games. That's right, folks. 1.4%, which means that the deal values of Epic Games is at $17.86 billion. That is what Epic Games is currently worth. So here is the press release, a statement from Sony, and then we'll get right into Epic. It says this: Epic's powerful technology in areas such as graphics places them at the forefront of gaming engine development with Unreal Engine and other innovations. Sony Corporation President CEO Mr. Yoshida said in a press release, "There's no better example of this than the revolutionary entertainment experience known as Fortnite." And here is, of course, the remainder of that statement. "Through our investment, we will explore opportunities for further collaboration with Epic to delight and bring value to our consumers and the industry at large, not only in games, but also across the rapidly evolving digital entertainment landscape." And here is a quote from Tim Sweeney, CEO and founder of Epic Games. He says this: "Sony and Epic have both built businesses at the intersections of creativity and technology, and we will share a vision of real-time 3D social experiences leading to a convergence of gaming, film, and music. Together, we strive to build an even more open and accessible digital ecosystem for all of the consumers and content creators alike." So, of course, King, I'm going to go to you first because not only do you have a lot to say regarding this, you are someone who runs your own business and have for quite some time, several businesses. And when you see deals like this, look, there's no taking away that this is a power move by Sony. The question is, how big of a power move is this, King?
Oh, this is a minor move. It's like Jay-Z 1.2% stake in the Nets. When you're betting on a horse, and I'm talking about the fans here, the fans want to bet on a horse and they want their horse to win, okay? And a lot of these dudes just are new to gaming. And let me tell you something, guys, that's not how gaming works, okay? You're a gamer, broaden your horizons, all right? This is a hobby that's going to cost a lot in your wallet, and it's not going to be easy. So you're not going to pick one horse and you're going to ride that one horse all the way to the finish line. No, you're going to pick multiple horses. But to get to what this deal really means, Epic has a new board member. New board members that paid to get a seat there is Sony. Now, as far as middleware goes, Sony understands what Microsoft does. Microsoft purchased physics. Remember physics? That's inside every game. Okay, Microsoft gets a check, buddy. Speed Tree, all these little middlewares, Microsoft have their hand in it. So when you see middlewares being used by every game and Microsoft is getting the check, boom, here comes a check. Boom, here comes a check. Sony's like, yo, man, these dudes is getting money hand over fist. How can we get into this situation? All right, let's see if we can purchase into one of the greatest engines that is going to definitely be used, and the number one engine I believe that was used this last generation with Unreal Engine 4, Unreal Engine 5. There was being announced, and this is the second time that Unreal was announced on a Sony stage. Remember, the last one was Unreal Engine 4. Now, I know something was a little bit weird when Sweeney didn't really reference the competition when it came to the Unreal Engine 5. Now, you notice on the PlayStation controller, there's a create button, right?
Yes.
My opinion in this whole matter is that the create button is going to be some form of Epic use, right? Now, and when I saw some patents being used, it was like you capture parts of game share and stuff like that, and you can send it to your friend. I believe that Epic will definitely use and utilize something in that area. Also, we noticed that Jim Dance Moves Ryan, aka Pinocchio, because Geppetto is definitely film Dominus Maximus Spencer, is pulling those strings, and he's moving in a great direction when it comes to where Sony is going, and they're going to bring their games to PC. So why not partner up with the Epic Store and have your content there? Now, when you purchase into the Epic ecosystem, you're getting more money when Epic does well. So you're investing in Epic because companies need capital. Capital is that 250 million to help them operate better, right? It's like gas for your car. You pick a car, you put gas inside the car, and the car goes, and the car gets to go to other places. Now, and then that car is going to benefit you because you're going to use this car for work. Sony is using Epic for more work. Now, what Epic sees is their engine is being used as far as Disney goes. Anybody likes The Mandalorian? I love The Mandalorian.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
fantastic.
exactly. And they were using Unreal Engine. Okay. So going forward, do you think The Mandalorian is going to stop using the next Unreal Engine? This is where that content came from, where Sony Movies saw how good Disney was doing with the Unreal Engine, and they're going to incorporate that type of technology into their studios where they can save money and maximize dollars. So why not, right? Why not get in bed with the middleware company of the world?
Yeah,
Sony is making sense now. They're thinking outside of those console sales, because remember, I told you before, it's not sustainable making AAA titles and only living off of AAA titles and console sales when it comes to Sony's gaming division. They have to think bigger. They have to think broader, because TVs aren't selling that well for them. Maybe cameras are, computers aren't. So Sony has to diversify their portfolio in order to survive. And this was just
and that's if I could just cut you off here for just a sec.
Wait, you got to lower your mic, brother. Your mic is super high.
Is my super?
Yeah,
it went nuts.
Is it regular now? Is it back?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know. Anyway, if I could just interject for a sec. Like Sony announced a few years back of like, this is we consider ourselves an entertainment company.
Yep.
Not so much a tech company. And that's what King's saying here makes total sense. Where, yeah, like if you watch the Mandalorian doc, they're using all Unreal Engine 4 stuff. They're also using VR tech to direct within a VR space. So like this move is more than just PlayStation. It is also in an entertainment field.
Yes, absolutely.
They get that knowledge, that know-how, that inside scoop, that revenue stream as well. That $250 or $250, Jesus, $250 million. That's an investment that they want to grow over time. That's going to be a bigger chunk of change in 5, 10, 15 plus years.
Yes, and let me get to that one part, because Boom, said the 250 million, and also J Dub actually put that on my timeline. Listen, guys, you give me 250 million, and you think that you get back 17 billion if you take your money out right now. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't work like that.
That's not how it works, buddy. All right. So it can become worth that much over a period of time. All right. It's an investment. Don't run with numbers not knowing. Sideshow stock guys, stop being a sideshow stock guy. All right. Over a period of time, your stocks mature. Once your stocks reach their apex, the value of money that you put into your stocks can achieve a higher level. Sometimes stocks go up, sometimes stocks go down. But betting on this horse with Epic is like a betting on a winning horse. It's like having the lotto numbers before the numbers came out. and don't think every company can't purchase into stock with Epic. Anyone can. It just makes it news because this is something different from Sony. And right now they need all the publicity. So Epic wants Sony to definitely win because they want to bring their board members more money. All right, i.e., not talking about the competition, because if Sony loses, kind of Epic takes a little knot in the head, and also Sony wants Epic to win because Sony wants Epic all over the place and helping out with their movie studios, not just, Spider-Man. They want Epic to help them create TV shows in the manner of the Mandalorians and TV shows of that nature. So that's my take on it. It wasn't nothing giant, but it is huge for the overall health of Sony.
Well, again, these companies, listen, the bottom line is the video game industry has become bigger than even the movie industry for a lot of reasons, because you don't have to go to a theater to play a video game. All you have to do is go home or go on your phone. And there are more ways. Of course, there are more ways to watch film, but not new film. Whereas new games, there are multitudes of ways to play. So this is an investment in Sony's future. And considering that for a long time, they have been in the red, the only division that has been making money for them, it has been several movies in their film division. We know, of course, with the Spider-Verse and Spider-Man and that Marvel deal, and their animations department, and studios are, they do crank out rather really good animated movies for the kids. But of course, the main horse in this stable has been for quite some time the PlayStation brand, and we've seen what they've done this generation. So this is a big move. Obviously, I know there are some people, again, I said this in the opening, that are making a much bigger deal over this, and I'm not trying to minimize it at all. It is an epic deal, pun intended there, but it is a deal that is going to help Sony stabilize their company as a whole further down the line. And again, that's thanks to Epic Games having Unreal Engine and basically everything. So Joe, you had a very interesting take, pre-game. I want to get your take on this. For you personally, as someone that covers Sony on a regular basis, unfortunately you have not gotten the call from Corey. I apologize for that. We did have coffee the other day, and he told me. Yeah, it was nice. It was he likes cappuccinos. And I just found that out because I like cappuccino, so we're even closer now.
You're Chino brothers.
Yeah, Chino brothers. That is absolutely right. So listen, what are your takes on this deal? Because you actually sent this to me as soon as it broke yesterday through a private message.
It's so I love news like this. This stuff gets me excited because when you take a look at Sony 10 plus years ago with like the PS3, right? You saw a situation that generation where Microsoft was being super aggressive, especially betting on the online front, which we saw paid dividends, right? And Sony was just complacent. Sony wasn't doing anything. Sony really just thought, hey, we made the PS2. What could go wrong here? They made a super expensive system, and they told you to get a second job, and they thought they could sit back, relax. They thought, the cell architecture was the future. Like, it was a complacent Sony. And to see what Sony's been doing, with all these little moves that we're seeing made, these little moves are making up for something. Right, they're showing us that Sony isn't resting on their laurels, which is something that I appreciate as someone that enjoys their ecosystem, and that they do want to venture off into, reading a little bit into that article. Yeah, what King says is 110% correct. Right, you're seeing Unreal and game engines in general enter the movie industry, because their engines can react within real time, making the environments look a whole lot better. Again, please watch that Mandalorian doc because it's amazing.
They really go into deep on how they produce that show. It's quite amazing.
And so, seeing that end where PlayStation or Sony rather wants to, start making TV shows, they want to start making movies in the video game using their own IP, which is about time, right? They need that tech. They need to understand that tech. And then when you take a look at the games field, yeah, you're buying into a company that is literally the it's the most popular, it's the easiest to use game engine out there. So why not make a little revenue off of that as well, while at the same time also understanding and getting to be in those boardrooms, getting to be able to make those deals, focusing on live events. Like how does Fortnite get all those, concerts or like movie trailers, or I saw the Millennium Falcon there and it was beautiful.
Nice, right?
Like, how can we take advantage of those things? And then at the same exact time, you get an outlet to put your games onto PC. Gang, it's happening.
Yeah.
I see some PlayStation people like they're in the 5 stages of grief right now. Like on the freaking denial stage. It's just like it's happening. Sony wants to see how to make the best marketplace possible on PC. So for me, seeing this spells, yeah, they're trying to understand how Microsoft's been able to get into the PC realm. They want to understand the live events, the social aspect, and then they also want to make some bonus money with the PC side of things as you slowly port your games from your console over to the PC. So to me, this deal, it's big, but not in the ways that a lot of people assume, right? Like Epic is not going out there, or not even big. It's forward thinking. Epic's not going to go out there and make a Gears of War like game for PlayStation only.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
It's more of a business for use.
Exactly.
Of their product, and obviously with Epic having their hands in so many pots, Sony being an investor is going to reap those rewards. Now, granted, there's no doubt that they're working together closely, and Sony is going to benefit from potentially some new tech or new advances that they're going to be privy to first because they're an investor.
And at the end of the day, I just want to stress this for people. You're not going to notice anything. Like you will not notice what is going on behind the scenes. This is a behind the scenes thing. But again, it's cool that it seems like PlayStation's trying to understand more of the online space of things, and seeing how this Layu, I know I'm mispronouncing that.
No, I think it is Layu. I think you're right.
Okay, yeah, nailed it. I always knew that. Boom. I was testing you actually. Anyway, but like seeing how that deal plays out, we'll also see how PlayStation deals with the games as service front.
Yes, because Tencent is highly considered being the lead dog in that deal.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Real quick, I want to bring Crispy Bomb into this, but before I do, Crispy, let me just catch him with some of these amazing super chats. First of all, Splatman is back, and he drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says this: "Hi all, hope you're all well and staying safe, and thanks that my friend for the well wishes, and we of course hope you and your family are doing well and staying safe. Here's a bit of cash to get everyone else in the spirit of donating." Well, thank you for that. That is very kind of you, sir. Sin Vendetta, a very generous friend of the show, he drops an early $5 super chat and says, "King David, do you have any statues from the first 4 figures?" I don't know what that means.
4 figures.
Fantastic Four, maybe?
If you're talking about the Fantastic Four, yes, I definitely do. If you're talking about the first 4 Avengers, yes, I definitely do. Please clarify. You could be the first 4 X-Men for all I know. But be a little bit clear so I can answer that question. And you can just put it in the regular chat and just put @Boom so Boom can answer it.
Yep, no problem. Regulator 951 drops an outstanding $2 super chat. Thanks for being here, dude. He says, "Good morning, Boom and panel. Get those knees, King." Yeah, let me tell you something. He's going to have to make room in his palace downstairs for all the knees he's going to be collecting in the next couple of weeks. At least that's what I think is going to be happening, because there's a lot of people that are going to be a little walking with limps, let's just say. But Crispy Bomb, let's bring you into the conversation, dude. Obviously, this was news. It was a news bomb for a lot of people yesterday, because when you hear $250 million, that raises an eyebrow or two, because it's significant. And again, it's an investment that they may not see immediate dividends, but when you look at Epic Games and how much money that company is making with not only Fortnite, but with their new engine that everybody, and I mean everybody, is going to be using, Sony will have now some spendable cash outside of their PlayStation division, where they might be able to invest in, potentially, bigger studios, adding to current studios, or even buying some studios. What are your thoughts on this, Crispy?
Well, all I gotta say is now we see what was with that tech demo and how they were acting about Microsoft.
Yes,
and this is the funniest thing I've seen, because that deal was probably started right before then, or because it takes a while to finalize everything, especially with that amount of money. It's great for Sony because they've been behind in the services department. And one thing that Epic is good at is creating a great engine, and also they have created a great service, and they continue to work on it. They have a lot invested in it, and just to think that 250 million is only a little over 1% of what they're investing in. So think about that. But this is just a strategic move by Sony saying, okay, we're going to kind of do a Microsoft thing, and we're going to put our hand in a cookie jar that we need to know more about, and we need to learn and be better at. And, we're going to benefit from it by investing in it. So it's a two-pronged approach. It's you get hand in hand with Epic, but you also can make money off Epic, and Epic can make money off you. And it's one of those things. It's just like Microsoft and Sony with Azure. I mean, you're going to have more people enjoying your games and this and that using a better servers, and that's the point of it. So Microsoft makes money, and Sony makes money because they're providing a better service. So it's a thing that we won't notice. You may notice when the TV shows and stuff start coming out. Clearly they got a lot to work on and how they're going to approach all that. But now they have a partner that really has a good sense of how to do all those things.
Yeah, big shout out to my brother Neo Mental, who's in the chat here. He says Epic is worth roughly half as much as EA Games, and that is crazy. Yeah, that is, considering how long EA has been around, and their personal investments. Look, I'll say this: there is a lot going on in this industry. This industry does not take a break. Even holidays, these guys are working. And even though we talked about it yesterday, King, I really want to get your personal opinion on this. We're going to back end this particular Sony topic with a potential investment for Microsoft in WB. And I know that we talked about it on Breakfast with Boom, and we might have even mentioned on, of course, Primetime Gaming on Monday. But the more the big news outlets keep writing.
Can I just back in something that Crispy Bomb said?
Yes,
really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see the difference between when Microsoft and Sony did business? No one heard how much money Sony invested in the Azure servers with Microsoft. Right, the dollar amount was never spoken about, and there's reasons why the dollar amount was never spoken about. We don't know if the dollar amount was 500 million. We don't know how much money Sony gave Microsoft, because on the face of it, it won't look good for the quote unquote rivalry. It won't look good, right? But this looks great in Sony's portfolio and Epic too, to announce the dollar amount. So you have to understand, when business is talked about, it's a reason why the dollar amount was released. The dollar amount wasn't released for when they used actual servers to sustain their infrastructure when it comes to online business. But the dollar amount is talked about when they talk about using the Unreal Engine or becoming part of a board member in the Unreal Epic ecosystem. So understand that how business is conducted is strategic, and it's for PR reasons why the number was released. The number could be far less than the number that was given towards Microsoft when they needed to use the cloud system. And that's just Sony being forward thinking and diversifying their portfolio and not going the way of Atari, ColecoVision, and Television, and other companies of that nature. They're showing you that they're trying to survive going forward, because juggernauts like Google, they have their hands in engines, they have their hands in movies, they have their hands in other infrastructures that produces revenue streams that they can sustain themselves. Sony is just trying to do that same thing. That's all.
No, I mean, and that's a great point. And obviously, if you are, specifically a Sony fan, you should relish in this decision for them to invest in that, because that means that they are dedicated to your platform, and there isn't going to be a shortcoming in studio quality movies, games, and entertainment. It's more specifically, of course, with the PlayStation brand itself. The investment is going to continue. Now, real quick, before we get to the second part of the, and again, this is smaller, it wasn't meant actually to be here, but if we're talking about Microsoft, you're going to talk about Sony. If you're going to talk about Sony, you got to talk about Microsoft. But real quick, Army veteran, a very good friend of the show, drops an outstanding and very generous $5 super chat and says, "What's up, all? Boom, great show so far. And King, call Phil and get WB for us. Peace and blessings to all." And listen, I got news for you folks. I'm telling you, I feel it in my gut, man. That's coming, and we're going to talk about that in a hot second. And Crazy Horse is here. Thank you for being here, my brother. He drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "I think PlayStation is just getting ready to put their games on PC Epic Game Store." And that is the quote of the day. That is a very smart look into what potentially all of these PlayStation fans, the extremists, are going to basically go into the corner and cry, because that means that it's not going to be only on PlayStation. It's going to be on the Epic Store. And King, you've been calling this for quite some time.
I don't know why that's a problem, bro.
I don't either. I have no idea. It makes no sense, dude.
Like, yo, when your girl looks beautiful, don't you want to parade her around? Like, don't you want more eyes on her? Or you that weirdo that, like, don't look at my girl, she looks beautiful. Like, it makes absolutely zero sense to me that you don't want more eyes on these fantastic IPs. These are one and done games, bro. Like, okay, so you want them just to die there. You just want them to get to the small segment of your community, which you should be ashamed of yourself, basically. If it's 135 million, let's say it's 150 million PlayStation sold. I don't care if you raise the number to 200 million. If 4 million went out day one and purchased the best game of this generation, and you're standing on that pillar, and it's only 4 million, bro.
That's not a leg to stand on. In fact, that's embarrassing.
Yeah, that game has to reach a broader audience.
Yes.
And maybe the PC dudes are gonna spend. Maybe somebody else is gonna spend. But if those games keep hitting the floor and only the hardcore is purchasing, they have to diversify to make their money back. That studio cost a lot. That game cost a lot of money to make that money back. So trust me, you want more eyes on it. So sorry.
No, it makes perfect sense. So you know what? And again, bringing Microsoft into the conversation, the hot topic of the week has been the WB interest, and of course, again, when some of the smaller sites that that are not known for being reputable first broke this story, a lot of us kind of just scoffed at the idea. We did hear about a couple of weeks ago that AT&T, who is now the owner of WB, and has made some big changes regarding WB in how they handle like the DC universe, DCEU, is now it's been brought out there, put out there, I should say, that they want to relinquish control and sell off the WB Games aspect. And they're doing this because they are $1 billion something in debt. And obviously they want to get rid of it for $4 billion. And of course, the first three companies that we were talking about privately that were interested or in the conversation were EA, 2K Games, and Activision. Three scumbag companies. I'm sorry, someone had to say it, and I'll be the one to do it. I don't care. I don't work for any of those guys, and you know what? They're not going to hurt this podcast. So yes, those are three of the worst companies that are currently in the gaming space. And I would tell you wholeheartedly, you do not want either of them getting their hands on WB. And quite frankly, because they are smaller companies, and I'm not being insulting because obviously, what do I don't have a pot to piss in, but when you compare them to Microsoft, they're not even worth combined 10%.
Yeah, that's true.
Of what Microsoft is worth. So Microsoft is the one company outside of Google and Amazon who also you don't want getting these WB because you don't want to play Batman Court of Owls on Stadia. I'm sorry, you just don't. So Microsoft has been in the conversation, and some of the bigger outlets like Game.biz and Forbes and the New York Times and Windows Central have been reporting on this. And, look, folks, I'll tell you this. If they're reporting on it and we're hearing about it now, understand that this is months and months old. Microsoft has been doing this deal, if they are going to do the deal, months ago before we even got any ideas that this was happening. And I think it's going to happen for a couple of reasons. And I know King is going to break it down. One of the major reasons is what they intend to do with their future of gaming, and that's Game Pass. Xbox Game Pass. Matter of fact, we were talking pre-game. King started playing Fallout 76. Okay, a lot of people don't like that game because of what they did to it, but you know what? King didn't pay a dime. He pays his $15 a month, and it's one of the games he didn't know he was going to play, but he is playing. So King, when you hear Microsoft talking about, well, not Microsoft, when you hear these news outlets suggesting that Microsoft has interest in potentially purchasing WB Games, which has some incredible IPs and studios attached to this deal, do you think it's a further investment not only in Xbox as a platform, but Microsoft's ideology for Game Pass being the future of gaming?
Strap your seatbelts in. All right. Somebody asked me to call Phil and ask Phil to purchase the WB. Well, the gaming division. Remember, guys, it's the gaming division. He's not purchasing the WB. You hope, and I was sitting there and I was looking at it because I look at it from a CEO's aspect of it, right? What would be the benefit if I was doing this? What would help me? I put in Microsoft's goals, right, as far as I know them, and then I put in acquisitions and how can they further those goals. Then I look at cost versus reward, right? And first, what we don't know is, did Satya and Phil actually make Microsoft understand that Xbox could be bigger than Microsoft? This is big, right? Because Microsoft is a software company, yes?
Yes.
And we know that we have Windows on almost every PC. Windows is pushing tech all over the world. Okay. Now, when I say, how can we get Xbox to be bigger than Microsoft? Boom stated earlier that gaming is becoming and is the number one form of entertainment value-wise and dollar-wise in the market today. Overstating movies, overstating amusement parks, overstating everything. All right. Now, when you're building a gaming service and you understand that gaming is the number one format of entertainment, you want to be number one in your genre. If Microsoft can get the understanding, if Phil and Satya and the team, it's a team. All right. We just use Phil as a figurehead because that's the face that we see. moving, and there's other parts to that component, but being a CEO, being a boss, he's the figurehead. If they can convince Microsoft that they can make Game Pass the number one place to play, then it's advantageous for them to purchase the WB's gaming studio. They pull out their portfolio, and it's 15 studios. So you have 5 lower tier, 5 middle tier, and 5 upper tier, right? And we know Rocksteady, we know Monolith, and we know the third
NetherRealm.
NetherRealm. But there's 2 more that you can couple up with that.
Well, I mean, you can put TT Games in there. I mean, they make all the
Right.
Lego games as well.
Right, and Lego games sell.
Yes, they
Right,
do.
that was a huge staple inside Game Pass, right? So now, when you take those first lower tier companies, those 5 studios, you say those 5 studios can be on a cycle of producing a game every year and a half. 5 studios, so that's 5 games every year and a half to rotate inside Game Pass. Then you take the middle tier. Those middle tier will be making AA games. Those games would be every 2 to 3 year games in that tier. So you have those games coming out every 1 to 2 year, 1.5. Then you have this one every 2.5 year games. Then you have the AAA studios that's already built. Those games have that 3 to 5 year cycle turnaround. You won't look from anything from them for 3 to 5 years, but when those games do come out, those are your AAA titles. Now, that's where the acquisition actually makes money, because you have a constant stream of content inside your gaming ecosystem to go along with the other studios that you have purchased already. So there's no strain on your ecosystem as far as telling these studios they need to have titles made. It's a machine. Once you get a well-oiled machine like the Patriots, I'm not a Patriot fan, but we can count on the Patriots being in the Super Bowl or being in the playoffs every year because they're a well-oiled machine. Mm-hmm. So you want your machine to be well-oiled. You want to know that when I purchase Game Pass, I know that they're going to be in the Super Bowl of gaming every year, or they're going to at least make it to the playoffs. That's where the references come in. Stick with me, people. You have to understand, this is the point where we don't know if with Phil and Satya talk to the higher ups in Microsoft. This is $4 billion here, $2 to $4 billion. That's a big number, right? That's a huge number, but they have to show them the return on investment. And the only way you can show them the return on investment is you show them the growth that you had in Game Pass and the things that they can do with the purchase of those studios of this magnitude. And I honestly believe that where there's smoke, there's fire, and when there's fire, there's definitely going to be something cooking on the Barbie. And I think that's Batman coming to Microsoft, and they don't own those IPs, but it gets them in the door to license those IPs. And do we know if they're going to keep them for self or if they're going to spread them out? Because listen to this: if you can get it in Game Pass for $15 a month, or you can pay that $75 down the road, I think I'm going to go with Game Pass because I don't feel like paying $75 down.
And I think, dude, you hit it out of the park when you're talking about what is Satya and Phil talking about. It's so, that is such a good point that everybody has this self-circle jerk of companies that like we're beating for on social media. Like, it doesn't matter about what platform you prefer. It's about thinking broader and thinking through their perspective. What does Microsoft gain by putting out, no matter how large of a company, a huge chunk of change for? What's their strategy there? It's like what we were talking about in the beginning of the show. Sony doesn't need this deal. It doesn't fit their portfolio. They already have fighters in their bag. They already have a huge superhero title. They got family-friendly things. Like, people don't understand how big Big Planet actually is. Like, they have those things in their portfolio. They don't need WB. They're fine. Microsoft, going with Phil in the Satya perspective, Microsoft saw Netflix, saw their rise, and saw how they did it, and goes, okay, that's what we want. They want to turn away from this conversation. All of them do want to turn away from this conversation of boxes eventually. Like, we're all excited for, PS5, Xbox Series X, but in a few years, once streaming actually gets to become something that is a stable way to play, that's the way people are going to experience gaming. It's only a matter of time. The whole power narrative, whatever the tower power narrative, won't matter in 5 to 10 years if we get that stable broadband internet service, right? People will be playing on their smart TVs, their iPads, their phones. That's the future. Microsoft saw that, and what they're literally doing. And I hate when people are like, they're giving away Game Pass. Yes, they want you to either experience it or get you that sample, that taste for you to get hooked in. That's what Netflix did. I remember back in the mid 2000s, you saw YouTubers go, hey, use my code and you get this Netflix free for a month. Like, that's what Microsoft is doing on the ground floor, and then building that portfolio. They even talked about it. They talked about it a day ago on gamesindustry.biz about, they're purchasing with Mojang. And it ain't over yet. They're still going out there purchasing. I want this deal to go really. I talked about it yesterday because, I don't want it to be in Take-Two's hands.
They
Definitely don't want Activision or EA to be a part of it. I want this to be on Microsoft because, their outlook is that in the next 5 years, they want it to be so that you're playing, or there is a Microsoft exclusive to play every quarter, right? They want at least 4 games every year pumping out, so that they want a Stranger Things, right? They want to, I don't know, what's another one? I guess Space Force or whatever. They want those things that you're talking about every quarter.
That's a damn good show. I love Space Force.
It's pretty. It got better second half, dude.
Funny.
The astronaut chick, she's cute. Anyway,
but
exactly. To me, people don't see it because we're always rooting for companies to fall for some reason or to rise up to be this, the prominence. But to me, that's the future of Xbox. And it's an exciting future. It's one that I'm a part of as well. I'm playing Halo Wars 2 on Game Pass.
And nothing wrong with that at all.
Ain't nothing wrong. And the last point here, going off what King said as well. Look, I have a good feeling, very good feeling, that Batman is going to stay multi-plat. That if they get the Lego title, it's going to stay multi-plat. I have a very good feeling Mortal Kombat multi-plat. And the whole selling point for Game Pass is, you could pay $60 for Batman or 70, whatever.
$70.
You could pay 70. I know, I got to get used to it now.
Yeah.
You could pay that $70, or you can literally pay 15.
Yes. And
what do you want? And be able to play it anywhere.
And considering the world economic situation, it is going to come into big time. Crispy Bomb, I want to bring you back into the conversation, but let me just catch up on some of these super chats. First of all, my very good friend and brother Tempest Son is here, and he, of course, is one of the founders of Primetime Gaming. He drops an outstanding and very generous $5 super chat and says this: Immortal King David, breaker of knees, I'm glad I'm able to catch the show live. Have a good one, fellas. Well, thanks so much, dude, and we cannot wait to get you back on the show Monday. We're gonna have a lot of big topics to talk about, so we're gonna have a lot of fun. Flamish is here. He drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, first time live, always lurking in the replays before. Also, can't wait to hear your take on the Ghost of Tsushima when it comes out. Yes, I'm looking forward to it. I actually got the confirmation today that they're ready to ship my collector's edition, so I'm very excited for that. And Gerald Mack is here. Hey, Gerald, thanks so much for hanging out, but also thank you for your $5 super chat and your generosity. He says Microsoft needs to flex on Sony and help bolster their little brother Xbox over PlayStation. Microsoft needs WB games in so many more ways than you realize. Oh, my very good brother, all the way from, I think he's from Washington State, if I'm not mistaken. Enrique is here from the Basement Radio Arcade Podcast. That's right. He is the host and voice of a very good show that you should be listening to. He drops a $2 super chat, says, boom, we need more pizza pictures. Yes, indeed. I love making pizza. It is a pastime of mine. And quite frankly, it is quite tasty. So I'm glad that you want to see more pictures. And as soon as I make some, I also make good calzones. So if you're listening, clowns, don't worry. I'll fly to Florida and save you. Sin Vendetta is here, and he drops an additional outstanding $10 super chat and says this: sorry, King David. First Four Figures is a company that specializes in creating high-quality video game statues, such as Dark Souls and Legend of Zelda.
Okay.
Seems like the company right up your alley.
All right. Okay. Thank you. All right. So I know exactly what you're talking about, brother. They are super. Do you see the prices on it? They had a Mario on Yoshi that I was looking at, and they also had a Zelda Wind Waker that I was looking at. Those statues is upwards of $700, $800.
Yikes.
And for the size that you were getting, they weren't even premium format. They were like, what is it? Like 1/6 scale, 1/5 scale. Yeah. So they capitalize because they don't make a large edition size. They make a smaller edition size, and they capitalize on your nostalgia. Now, if I can get them secondhand, a little bit cheaper, if I could have got that Mario and Yoshi, they also had a Sonic that I was looking at, and I was going to pull a trigger on it. They're a little bit exclusive, but they do have some statues that I'm looking at. I might one day, if this situation ever gets better, I'm able to dip and dab into my gaming statues, but I would get gaming statues from them. Yeah, definitely.
Nice.
They got a Bloodborne one. That's the only question I need.
Well, I don't think so, but if they did, it would be expensive. There's no doubt about it. Real quick, let me just, you know what? Before I get into the rest of the super chats, I want to bring Crispy Bomb. Now, Crispy, what a lot of people don't understand, and I think I really appreciate your point of view, because like most of the people listening, we're all blue collar workers, right? We have to put on the cape and cowl, and we have to go out and make money for our family. And as we've seen with 2K, gaming potentially could go up in price, meaning that your 6501 that you pay for a game right now with tax at your wherever, Walmart, Target, GameStop, Amazon, 6501. If they in fact go up to $70, that's going to put it up as potentially $76 per game. This is something that people are going to actually have to, they may not be able to buy a game or three that they normally could, simply because of the rise and costs of gaming going up in 2020 and beyond. And this is where Game Pass becomes the beacon of hope for many, and getting WB in there and being able to say to your consumers, hey, Mortal Kombat 12, day and date, it's in there. Batman, Court of Owls, Suicide Squad, we got you covered. Day and date in there. Go crazy. Just sign up for Game Pass. Do you think that this is a deal that both exactly what Bit and King were saying? Satya and Phil Spencer are talking like, hey, we have an opportunity to really solidify the portfolio and really get those subs. What do you think about that?
Personally, it all comes down to AT&T's company health. They're not healthy anymore. They made a lot of bad investments.
They did.
DirecTV and other such things. They're a huge company, and they can kind of subsidy and purchase other things to kind of keep them afloat. But in the end, eventually you got to liquidate. And this is one of the ways that they're thinking of liquidating, because they know they have value in the interactive sector of that. The games that have come out. This is not a purchase that's like, oh, they came out with a really horrible game and we need to sell because we didn't sell enough. And this is not a small little developer. This is a very large developer of a lot of AAA titles also. So this is a once in a lifetime opportunity for Microsoft.
Yes, it is.
This is. And I know from reading most of the articles that the one IP that's really truly included without having to go through license deals is Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I put out a tweet when I heard about this. I said, Phil, MK is worth it in itself. It was the number 4 selling game last year. They continue to sell DLC. And it's not to say that, you couldn't get all of that free on Game Pass, which would be another incentive, but then you have to purchase it on other platforms. Because I feel at this point, any purchase this large with these kind of IPs, even if they got licenses, it would require them to still sell them on other consoles, just like the MLB thing with PlayStation. So it's one of those things where WB wants Time Warner wants all the licensing money they can get, AT&T in general, but it's still AT&T purchased Time Warner, and that's where we're at now.
Right.
So this is where I go and say this is great for every gamer if Microsoft gets, because they would be willing to do that. We've seen it with Minecraft. They continue to make money hand over fist. There's no reason to lock it behind just Xbox, but give the incentive for you to go to Game Pass. And me, I love Game Pass. I've been able to play so many games that I wouldn't be able to afford because of Game Pass. And give me more. Give me MK12 for $15 a month, please. Please.
Well, and if I could just expand on that for just a second there, Crispy, you made excellent points when you're talking about where AT&T's health is, because a lot of people, again, they want to wave that banner of platform and forget we're all gamers. They're like, they're going to make Batman an exclusive. And I'm like, no, like the health of Disney and the health of AT&T, two totally different situations. And the Spider-Man situation and the Batman situation, very much different situations. So I definitely see, like, maybe MK, maybe, but like, Microsoft is a place, and again, people forget this. They're a terrific company in terms of putting their services on other platforms. People forget that prior CEO, I forget his name, before Satya, they questioned Satya's judgment of bringing things like Word, things like PowerPoint, their services onto the iPhone, because a lot of old time thinking was that's our competitor. What are you doing? And Microsoft saying, no, Apple isn't our competitor in terms of the broader sphere. Yes, we compete with them in certain aspects. The real enemy here is Google. We need to put our services on everything. So it kind of goes against the corporate scheme of what Microsoft is all about, which is services. They're the masters of it. And that's why what people don't understand, like, it's not about flexing on PlayStation. Microsoft does not give a shit about Sony. And likewise, they're all doing their own thing.
They're doing their own thing.
And that's what people forget. Microsoft wants Sony to succeed as well. They got that deal with them for the Azure servers, right? Like, they're making money. They're partners.
Well, if
they're
you heard Phil's, his interview, he said that he respects Sony for the things that they did. He respects Sony for what they bring to the community. He respects the games that they have. He respects Nintendo for everything that they do, but he's not looking at them as competitors, and he is willing to help them.
Yeah, and we're seeing that, bringing it on, bringing things like Cuphead to the Switch, right? Like,
come on,
Minecraft crossplay with PlayStation.
I have a question for Crispy. Crispy, you mentioned Mojang, and you mentioned Minecraft. Did Minecraft Dungeons go to other platforms? I don't know. They did, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they had to pay
everywhere,
for it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And my son and I downloaded it on Game Pass because we were waiting, because he was like, Daddy, it's not up yet. Because remember they had that false start or something like that, and COVID had pushed it back. Right. Because I had preloaded it. And I told him, I said, I preloaded it. And he's 9 years old. He's the wonder of my life. And because I'm like looking at me like, wow, like if you water a flower and just play games, do games, boy. Don't worry about nothing else. And when he was able to play it, it's mind blowing that he's looking at dates on his calendar, because he has a calendar in his room with dates for games that's going to be released in Game Pass.
That's awesome.
That's a big deal.
That's huge.
That's a mind share investment. We're talking about mind share at this point.
Yes.
It's like now I can never not have it because it's just like Netflix. I'm about to get rid of it, and then I catch on a show like Ozark or Umbrella Academy. Like they always come out with something that I'm like, oh, let me just check it out, and then all of a sudden I'm hooked, and I'm waiting for the next one to come out. So I'm like, why am I going to cancel when I'm just going to buy it again?
And guess what? It doesn't matter if Ozark gets like, what is it, like an Emmy or whatever. Like, it doesn't matter. That show's still really good, right? Like Stranger Things isn't winning a Golden Globe, but it's seriously one of my favorite TV shows ever.
And when they tell you the next one is showing up, you're right there, right?
Yep.
And it's an event, and that's
I'm watching
that's what they're building towards.
Warrior Nun.
That was fantastic, dude.
It's fantastic,
That was really
okay,
good.
I gotta check that out.
Yo, so
really good.
I'm watching it. I'm like, yo, Netflix is at a point where I know before they didn't have all that stuff, but they're cranking them out right now because I was afraid that Disney was going to overrun them.
Yeah,
that's not the case right now, bro. Right now, Netflix is holding its own, and it's knocking Disney's up, down, left, right, sideways, all over the place. Yeah. And I believe Satya and Phil, because you always got to have the bank have your back.
Yeah,
you always got to have that. Because that way you too can conquer the world. Because if you're walking into a club with no money in your pockets, no fun for you, buddy. Right? but if the money's in your pockets, you're gonna have all the fun in the world. I really believe that this deal is based off of Satya's and Phil's relationship and their view and their overall acceptance on where they want the Microsoft and Xbox brands to be. Because I believe Satya and Phil believes that Xbox could be bigger than Microsoft, and they have to get the overall company to believe that same sentiment.
Well, you know what? Real quick, before we move on to the next topic, and I catch up on some of these super chats, just to give people the heads up, we're going to be doing a massive story on Primetime Gaming. If you go to my channel, you'll see it. It says Phil Spencer, and it's coming directly from him. He did an interview with videogame.biz, and it says, according to Phil Spencer, no signal from Microsoft to slow down on studio acquisitions for Xbox. And that's going to be a huge topic of discussion on Monday's Primetime Gaming. I hope everyone could tune in for that. But, let me just catch up on some of these super chats because, obviously I get really upset when I miss them, and I feel terribly, I consider myself a terrible host when I do. Eagles fan 76 drops a very generous $5 super chat. Thank you for being here, Eagles fan. Always appreciate your support. He says, panel, if Xbox got the license for DC hero games, could they leverage it to get games like Spider-Man from Sony to share their characters? I don't think so. Spider-Man is always going to be an Insomniac produced game, and the only way that does not happen is if they make a terrible mistake or Sony drops the ball, and I don't think that's going to happen.
Just for a second, just jump in. I pray to God that this is the case, is that if Sony can listen, I will let Sony have Spider-Man forever on PlayStation 4, or sorry, PlayStation 5, whatever, PlayStation ecosystem. If it just means we keep Tom Holland in the goddamn MCU.
Yeah, well, that's going to happen too. There's some big deals going down. As a matter of fact,
I'm so scared.
I can say one thing, right? And this would happen. This would definitely put mud inside somebody's sneaker. If Sony was to sell any part of their division as far as a movie division, and a movie division isn't as healthy as people think. If they were ever to sell any of that, Spider-Man reverts right back to Marvel.
For free. For free. Yes.
I pray to God every day, King.
and listen, but see, this is the bad part about that.
Yeah.
Because I was just playing earlier Spider-Man game, okay, on a Genesis, the Sega CD version. That means that IP reverts right back to Marvel, and they don't have the stranglehold that they have on it in dictating where it can be played. Mm-hmm. So it won't be played solely on a Sony console. Not saying that Sony themselves loses it. It's the Sony movie division has that acquisition, and they leverage that on the overall Sony company, which Sony Entertainment is part of. right? So when the parent company controls an IP and they can use that IP and lend that IP out to the smaller division, which is Sony Entertainment, that will lose its steam if they lose that IP back to Marvel. So be careful.
Yeah, no, and that would be like I said, that's why Disney didn't go out and buy Spider-Man from Sony, even though they have enough money to do so, because if Sony did sell any part of their company, specifically their movie division, those rights would revert back for free. And again, who knows what's going to happen about that? But what I do want to do is move on to a really good topic that's going to be, I think, interesting and get a lot of opinions on. First of all, Basement Radio Arcade Podcast, our good friend Enrique shows his outstanding generosity with an incredible $10 super chat and says, if MS can get big third-party games day and date on Game Pass, that would be huge considering the price increase of next-gen games. It could potentially entice many gamers to sign up with Game Pass. And you know something? We're not going to talk about it here. We talked about it yesterday, but that story that broke that we think, based on a leak from hearing from VentureBeat, that Cyberpunk 2077 could potentially get into Game Pass day and date, and if that's the case, that could potentially pave the way for other huge third-party developers to get their games in their day and date. Only time is going to tell. Our good friend Scrub Nurse is here. Thanks for hanging out, dude. He drops an outstanding $5 super chat, says, shout out to the panel and the chat. So excited for the 23rd and the future of Xbox. Xbox needs to take the lead over at King Sony, baby. Yes, and I think they're going to surprise a lot of people. Sin Vendetta once again shows his generosity with an additional $5 super chat and says, yes, Mr. Badbit, first four figures have a couple of Bloodborne statues. You got to look into that.
I got to make an investment. I'm searching right now.
He says, including, hold on a second, let me bring this back. Where are you? Hold on a sec. Wow. When this chat goes flying by, we have a lot going on in this chat. Hold on. He says, including Lady Maria, which is such a beautiful piece. Well, you're gonna have to look into that, Mr. Badbit, because you might not be able to get your.
I'm googling right now.
Well, and if you want that, I'm gonna send it to you right now.
Gerald Mack shows his generosity once again with another $5 super chat. Says, with Ubisoft games show coming soon, do either one of you guys on the panel expect a Splinter Cell for the next gen? Shout out to Boom and the Iron Lords. Listen, dude, I have been wrong for 4 years in a row, and I'm probably going to be wrong for another for a fifth. I'm just going to go for gold at this point. I have been calling for Splinter Cell. It is an abomination, if you think about it as a gamer, that this entire generation went by and we did not get one new Splinter Cell. That is gross. And I hope Ubisoft is listening, because my God, let's get Sam Fisher back. And listen, you have the technology. You've been doing Assassin's Creed. You've been doing all these other games. You have the formula how to make a great Splinter Cell. Just get it done. And Tempest Son, my brother, drops another $5 super chat and says, Disney has been hemorrhaging some money because of COVID. Yeah, that's to be expected. I don't see Disney demanding Spider-Man being a multi-plat as an impossibility, just like MLB. I mean, again, I don't think Spider-Man is ever going to be on anything than a PlayStation branded console, or of course, if they wind up moving it over to Epic Games, and maybe you could play it on PC. Folks, listen, I'm okay with them keeping it where it is. I'm also okay with Insomniac continuing to make that game. And of course, we are getting one of Badbit's favorite characters in Miles Morales for the launch of that console, and that is a big deal. But you know what? In a story that I pulled from one of my favorite new places to get gaming news, WCCF Tech is now reporting, along with many other gaming outlets, that Microsoft's quadruple-A studio known as The Initiative who we know has been grinding away on what is expected to be either Perfect Dark or a new IP. Now, with Microsoft confirming their first-party showcase for July 23rd, it is almost guaranteed that the new game would be their front and center for everyone to gawk at. Well, unfortunately, it looks like the Xbox community is going to have to wait until the August showcase to see where they're what they're making and where and when this game is going to be released, and that is supposed to go right along with the Series X reveal, potentially the release date of consoles, and of course the price of both next generation consoles. Now, according to VentureBeat's Jeff Grubb, Microsoft's new studio, The Initiative, will not be showing their first game this month on the 23rd, despite rumors to the contrary from the concerns of the internet. Now, apparently, this is mainly because of timing, not because the Initiative is not ready. Now, obviously, they were founded only in 2018, and whatever they're working on may just not be ready for prime time. But of course, take this with a grain of salt, because most of Grubb's predictions of this year's digital game events have come true. He's actually been quite right on many of his predictions. Now, in another somewhat odd development, the Initiative's Twitter account was wiped clean yesterday, and some thought it was a sign of the studio was relaunching at the Xbox event this month. But given the latest rumors, it seems that may not be the case. Now, look, I'm going to say this to the panel and, of course, to the chat. I know there are going to be some people that are disappointed by this because everyone wants to know if Perfect Dark is coming. Everybody wants to know what the quadruple studio known as The Initiative is packed with talent, what they're working on. But I want to just throw this little nugget of information out there and see if you still feel the same disappointment, because I certainly don't. And obviously, I'm going to say this. I think that this is a smart play by Microsoft, and considering that there will be new IPs and games shown off by 343 Studios, Obsidian, Double Fine, Rare, Playground Games, Turn 10 Studios, and several other unannounced games to take up much of the 23rd show. Would it be more effective to allow a AAA or a quadruple A new game from the Initiative to have its own area to breathe in, its own show to, basically steal? And I think the answer is yes. I think that when you look at what's coming on the 23rd, I think we're going to be unbelievably blown away. I have no doubts that Phil is going to let it all hang out, and it's going to be a show of shows. And I have no doubt on that. So having the Initiative's games there on top of a new Fable, on top of a vid doc and gameplay of Halo Infinite and Forza Motorsport 8 and whatever else they're going to show, there just might be too much. So I would like to give the Initiative's new game, or potentially new IP, some room to breathe. And I'm going to start with Crispy Bomb first on this. Crispy, when you hear that the Initiative's game is being held back, the reasoning behind it is because Sony is rumored to have some other big bombs in their back pocket for their August show. Do you think this is a smart play by Microsoft?
Absolutely. And, let's not rush things here. Like, that they want to really showcase Halo Infinite on the 23rd. And you can only have so many other things that you really want to be talked about besides Halo Infinite. So it is just a smart play to, hold a few things back. If, you truly are ready to do an August show, you're not just going to talk about a couple consoles. You got to have some games in there. You got to have the future of gaming. Maybe that's what the show will be really focused on, is, what's coming, in the later years, because obviously, they just, were assembled. So it only makes sense to, be smart about it. Take your time. We don't, luckily, all these studios are owned by Microsoft now. So now hopefully we don't have any scale bound incidents ever again, which is a good thing. So it's a smart play. Like they said, they really want to stretch out until launch, what is coming from Xbox in the future. And we are at the point where a lot of these other studios, because they have multiple teams and everything else, they have been working on games for a lot longer than the Initiative has. So
yes,
I think they're much more ready to show, even a small demo or anything. We could only get a tease in August, and you don't know, but at least it seems like there's going to be something. We're gonna hear something, which is better than nothing. You know what I mean? Because 2018 wasn't very long ago for game development. So, it's just a smart play.
All right. I mean, and I agree with you. I think that even if you get a very small trailer, even if you get some sort of just a 3 minute or I don't know, a 2 minute tease in August, it's going to still get people excited, in my personal opinion. King, I want to get to you on this because obviously you will have a lot to say. You're expecting some big news and big surprises for the 23rd. Obviously, the Iron Lords will be doing a live stream that I will be a part of, so I'm very excited to be doing that, as well as hosting my own show along here with Crispy Mom, Mr. Bearbit, and several others potentially at 8 p.m. that evening of the 23rd to talk about what broke down. But for you, King, is this a smart play by Microsoft to hold off the game this big for its own show maybe in August?
Well, I told dudes a long time ago. Now, remember the Sony show, and people was, a lot of dudes was surprised that I gave it an 8. I was expecting to give the show a 10. I was expecting to give it a 10. Because it was 3 IPs that I knew that was supposed to be there that weren't shown. Now, some of the stuff that I saw on the list that actually, pops up, I don't know what Bug Snacks looks like on a text, okay? So I don't know what that means, all right? I don't know what that means, but I do know what certain IPs mean, and I'm like, okay, if they're doing that, then I can anticipate this, I can anticipate that. Now, when 3 IPs aren't shown, and I'm, crying and yelling about all these little transitions that they're doing, those transitions was eating up time. They had a specific amount of time that they were using, and it ate up time with putting these little fake transitions in there that was for 3 specific games that they will show in August for Sony that was held back. They don't operate in a vacuum. They know around when and where the next guy is going to strike at. Microsoft put out bait in May. Sony took the bait and went forward in with their show in June.
Right.
Now, Microsoft will take the narrative in July. And from what I'm hearing is that initiative game could be showed on a JPEG, could be showed on a 1 minute trailer, could be showed in some form of capacity. But like Boom said and Crispy said, you don't want to take away from the main course that is being shown, which is Halo Infinite.
Yes.
You don't want to cannibalize your viewership. You don't want to show your hand knowing that coming right after that is Sony. With those 3 IPs that I said, trust, you'll see, you're going to be like, oh, sweat. Yo, he was real. It definitely is 3 IPs that I'm interested in. All right. Not knowing how they're going to craft the show around anything else. But you also won't hear anything about Lockhart on the 23rd. You won't hear anything about Price on the 23rd. It's just going to be about games. It's just going to be those games. And it is advantageous for Microsoft to hold back something to counteract August show from Sony. Do not leave your till empty, because you cannot fire back when fired upon.
Yep.
You must understand, if you're counting your foes' bullets and they have one more in the chamber, what are you going to empty off yours? You don't. You wait. You bide your time. This is chess, not checkers. I hear a lot of guys talking about.
I like that. That's a great analogy. I like that.
It is, because these guys are, Microsoft has to unleash. Why?
Yeah. No,
why must they do this? This is why you're not a CEO.
Also, let's be honest. These people are like, we gotta unleash right here, right now. One day, not very good lovers either. You
understand? You have to drag it out. The tortoise and the hare.
Yeah.
Relax.
Mm-hmm.
Get what you're gonna get, because you're gonna get a substantial amount. Because everybody was complaining about the May show. Oh, it's weirdo dudes. Microsoft didn't show gameplay. And first of all, it's a third-party runoff show. All right, let's keep it in perspective.
That was
guys.
the extra they just didn't have room for. But P.S. by the way, people don't know that, King.
Yeah,
the May show was the extra.
It was the runoff from this show that they're going to show right now that they wanted to highlight. They were showing so much respect to the third-party developers that was going to be part of the show. They didn't want to cut them out. All right, and actually, it was Ubisoft that screwed it up.
Yeah, it was absolutely 100%.
Right, so Ubisoft screwed it up. Ubisoft is not going to screw up the 23rd. Okay, you're gonna get a chunk. You're gonna get what you asked for, and then holding back something. Yes, hold back your the must see, because dudes definitely want to see Halo. They definitely want to see Forza. If you're lying, you don't want to see what Gears Tactics look like on the X. You're crazy. Because I do, and I'm not playing it on my PC, which is a monster, but I definitely want to know what it looks like when I'm sitting in front of my TV.
You're also going to get Fable at this show.
Man,
come on.
We want this. We wanted to have its space. We want our 3-course meal. So, yes, hold off something. It's going to be amazing. And since Sony's going to come right behind that, this is going to give them incentive to push. This is a new console generation coming forward, guys. We're supposed to be supremely excited. And yes, you want them to drip out these little nuggets here and there so we can be excited, so we can plunk down our money. They want us lathered up, ready to go. And you don't do that with throwing everything out on the first date. You don't do that.
That's why they made teaser trailers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
Mr. Bad, let's bring you into the conversation. But before I do, let me just catch up with some of the super chats. First of all, Spider-Man is asking King a question. Thank you for being here, dude. And of course, thank you for your outstanding and very generous $5 super chat. He says, King David, as a businessman and looking at the deal from a business perspective, what are the pros versus cons for Microsoft buying WB Games? Happy belated birthday, King.
Oh, thank you so much. The pros versus cons. All right. The cons is you're really purchasing for the top tier companies, right? Now, that's on the surface. You would think that if Microsoft didn't have Game Pass. The pros is, all right, the cons is $4 billion. That's the con, right there. $4 billion. I don't care what you say. I don't care how much money you have. Get shelling out money of that a magnitude. It's a lot of money. Don't let the four confuse you. Just add all those zeros. See all the zeros. See a check that says $4 billion. You understand where we're talking here. All right. But the pros is getting these studios into that well-oiled machine and getting them into a comfortable space where they can make games that they've been dying to make and pump them out in a fashion that keeps the ecosystem moving and growing. If out of all those 15 studios, if you can get 6 to 7 games every 2 years that are rated high 90s, you win.
Yeah.
You win.
Yeah, I mean, great points, because obviously, yes, you want to sell your service, but you also want good games, and they could have potentially doubled their studios, and it's going to be an epic deal. It really is. And real quick, Chaos Might is here. Thank you for being here, my brother, but also thank you for your outstanding generosity. He drops a $10 super chat. Initiative was only founded in 2018 and hired their people in 2019. With games taking 4 to 5 years, why should we expect anything from them right now? I mean, well, the only reason why we would expect something is because they have been publicly announcing that this summer they are going to show what they've been working on. So we are going to get something. We are going to get, whether it's a teaser trailer or
I'm expecting, and like, get expectations leveled here, guys.
Yes,
like Metroid Prime 4.
You're gonna get gonna get some sort of a logo or something, and it's and then we're gonna talk about it like
back, Joanna's face and done.
And there you go.
For their stuff, I don't think so. Yeah. I think you get a vertical slice.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you get a vertical.
Well, we know
slice.
Phil has already played what they're working on. We've already seen him. So he was very impressed. Real quick, Dad versus Rock with the outstanding and very generous $2 super chat. He said, "Heard Xbox might make multiplayer free like PC is possible. Yes, as a matter of fact, King and I and a few people have heard this, and we've also been talking about this. I've said it publicly before it was even muttered. I think one of the mic drop moments for the 23rd or potentially the August show, because I think the 23rd is going to be just games, and more games.
Yeah.
I think one of the big announcements for the August show, which is supposed to be hardware and services, is they announced to the world that Xbox Live is now free for everyone, meaning that you will not have to pay to play with your friends or online. And I think that would be devastating. It would be industry changing and would also be industry stopping. But Mr. Badbit, going back to you on this, you obviously you had some things to say, but I want you to elaborate on your point.
Sure.
The initiative is going to produce either a new IP or, of course, an older IP in Perfect Dark. And we know that they're going to be showing it this summer because they said so. But do you think it is a wise idea to allow Halo and a few of the other titles like Fable to get the spotlight while still, setting up something for if Sony drops God of War 2, if Sony drops something big, and they are expected to do so in August, Microsoft will have something left in their back pocket.
Yeah. To hop on like King's previous point here, we can expect Sony to have at least 3 shows by the end of the year. Like you got this August event, which is going to be a state of play. We can assume they'll have something, same with Microsoft, at Gamescom. They will be at TGS, just depends how. And then like the Paris Game Show. So we still got shows, guys, right? So we don't expect something along the lines of this first showcase for Microsoft. I'm expecting it to be similar to that of the Sony event, where like we had a really cool moment, a big game in the beginning, right? You got the showcase of its power, a few of your partner deals, and then you have the big banger at the end. And that's what I'm kind of expecting from Microsoft in terms of what I'm going to see. So I think the big game will be at the very end, Halo. It'll be their campaign and what we're going to see from them. And then whatever they do in August is going to be just hardware and services. So yeah, I could expect that mic drop moment if Xbox Live, which let's hope, guys, let's hope it's free. I'm tired of paying $60 for something that should have been free from the start, but like, we're going to probably see those type of mic drop moments at that event. And then we'll probably see, I was talking to my good friend Zach the other day, or last night rather, we'll probably see that Halo beta in August. And then we'll probably see one more show, probably at around XO, about the future, and even probably bring out the more heavy hitters as well. So I'm expecting we're going to see, go for it.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
How do you subsidize the lost $60?
I think what you're going to see them do is probably say, hey, anybody, we're making it free. We're going to take whatever. Again, I want it to be free, so I'm feeling the burn right now.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about put your CEO hat on, right?
Right.
How do you subsidize the lost $60 revenue? Because that's a revenue stream. Yeah, that's $60 for Xbox Live Gold, not counting Game Pass. It's a revenue stream.
Theoretically, and it's one that prints money. And so, and that's the thing, like putting on my CEO hat on, everybody, it wouldn't make sense, right? It wouldn't make sense for Microsoft to do it. But Microsoft being very forward thinking and wanting to sell Game Pass and having, things like Game Pass Ultimate or whatnot. Yeah, it doesn't. I hope it happens, but I don't see it happening. But if I were to make it so, if I'm like, I'm Phil Spencer, I'm going to be even more awesome. I would say, hey gang, we're getting rid of games with gold. It's useless at this point. We're getting rid of online. You should be able to play your games. All right. What we're going to do is take whatever existing time you have with Xbox Live, convert it into Game Pass.
Right. Yeah. The only way I see that even being an option is if Game Pass is outpacing games with gold.
Mm-hmm.
in such a fashion that it becomes irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
You understand that your existing base has already made the switch over to Game Pass Ultimate or Game Pass regular, right? Yeah. So that's the only way I can see that, because people ask me, should they make it free? Oh yeah, they should, but would they, right? Exactly. And this, you have to become the greedy cow. The greedy cow is going to eat in the pasture if they're allowed to, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Why would the greedy cow cut off their food source for no reason?
Yeah,
it wouldn't make any sense unless the other side of the barn had berries and stuff on that side and made it better than eating on this side. And they say, you know what, I can just forget about that. You must make that carrot for the horse. You must make that carrot very enticing. So the only way I can see this is if Game Pass is moving at numbers that we are not privy to, that we don't see. And they say, you know what? Okay, now we can subsidize it this way. And if we throw xCloud inside Game Pass, that all encompass one thing, now we can subsidize that lost $60 revenue per box. And
I think what you can do with Xbox Live to make it that worthwhile service is say, excuse me, hey, xCloud is now Xbox Live. You want the ability to play on the go. You want to be able to play on your iPad, pay this one fee, and you're able to, fee a year and be able to do that.
They, from what I understand,
I think you need to enhance that service. Yeah,
but they want xCloud free.
True,
because they want it to be a click app, right? Yeah. They want. You saw Stadia had that whole. If you see a video, you click on it and you're able to jump in. You're able to play.
Yep, that's what Xbox wants.
That's what they want. They want that streaming. And from what I hear with Sony's back compat situation, they're on to a streaming type of thing, right? So they want that streaming thing to be free.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't wrap my head around that, because every time people talk about it, I just can't wrap my head around it, and I have to see it in action to understand the dynamics of it, because I will never see myself giving up a revenue stream that I already established for absolutely no reason, unless the revenue stream that's replacing it is making that money and it's separate money. So it has to make double in order for it to make sense to me.
And that's why I think maybe kind of merging those services the way like Game Pass has, and kind of going, hey, listen, we're moving away from this model. I think what you're saying is correct, where it's like we have to see what models they have, look behind the scenes to see where they feel Game Pass is going and where they feel the projections of Game Pass would go if Xbox Live wasn't there.
Yeah, because we don't know if Game Pass is like 25 million subscribers at this point. We don't know anything, basically, to be honest with you.
I will tell you this, based on hearing what Tim Dog had to say, they're over 15 million right now. They're only talking about 10, but they're over 15.
If I could just also make one last point real fast. Sure. Whoever said, Joe, check out those Bloodborne statues, you're not my friend, because I'm sweating here right now.
Oh, I sent it to you already. So if you check your phone out, you're not gonna like the guy right now. You're not gonna like me.
Okay. My phone's charged. That's why I'm looking at Google right now, and
look at your phone.
$700 for an awesome Eileen the Crow Hunter, man.
I got you. I got you. It costs more than that, but I got you. Sure. You'll see what it is, and you'll be like,
you know what? I'm gonna run get my phone. I'll be right back.
Well, listen. Let's move on to one of the last bigger topics of today. But real quick, I just have to catch up with some of the super chats. First of all, Warlock 9, thanks for being here, dude. He drops a very generous $5 super chat. Says, why should Microsoft care what Sony has up their sleeve? You just said they don't care about Sony in the previous segment. Well, listen, yes, technically they don't necessarily care, but you still have to know what your competition is doing, because obviously they are, even though Microsoft considers Amazon and Google as their main competitor, Sony kicked their teeth in this generation, and they need to, they want to come back. They want to be the comeback kids. They want to see a revival the same way from Wii U to Switch, from PS3 to PS4. They want to see the same thing go from Xbox One to Series X, and they want that triumph moment, and they're going to get it, I believe. And Valerian drops an outstanding $2 super chat, says, I love King and his parables. Me too. And of course, Duplicant drops a very generous $5 super chat. Thank you for being here, dude. He says, found you guys RDX Xbox 2 in the same week. It's the best gaming talk on YouTube and a cut above IGN and the ilk. Keep up the great work. Well, dude, thank you so much for that. That is very, very kind of you to not only just hang out with us for the 2 hours, but to drop the super chat, but also leave an amazing comment. That is really, let me tell you something. As a content creator, we strive to hear comments like that, and that's very kind of you. But let's move on to the last topic of today's show, and I think it's a good one. As a matter of fact, I think it's one that's going to take up the remainder part of the show, but one that we're going to be talking about well after the show ends. You know, one of the biggest community-friendly efforts for Microsoft in the next generation has been the announced smart delivery system. And when talking about games that will be on both the Xbox One and Series X, this has been confirmed as something that's going to benefit all Xbox owners and its community. Now, being transparent is something that Phil Spencer has been adamant about, and not charging its consumers twice for a game they already own has been at the forefront of every conversation and interview with Phil Spencer. Now, he has talked about these titles will ultimately receive an upgrade in graphics and performance with the new and more powerful hardware, and seems paramount for his point of discussion. Now, in an article that was posted by VideoGameChronicles.com, Xbox has told developers that they will not and cannot charge players to upgrade their current gen games on the Series X in the form of DLC or payable DLC. And obviously, this is where the free smart delivery system comes in. And I see Joe, he is patting his head because he's nervous about this $700 that he's probably going to spend. But you know what? Let's continue. According to several publishing sources with the knowledge of Microsoft's next-gen policies, who spoke privately with Video Games Chronicle, companies working on cross-gen games have been encouraged to offer both current and next-gen versions at no additional cost, either via smart delivery or their own such systems, such as EA's dual entitlement. Now, as of this show, 3 major releases for 2020 have been confirmed to use smart delivery. Those 3 games are Cyberpunk 2077, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and Marvel's Avengers will be offering upgrades for the amazing price of free. Now, also added to this list is Bungie's Destiny 2, which of course is a little older, will be also given a free upgrade treatment, and that is a way that they're giving back their fans for the support that Bungie has received since, of course, leaving Activision, and thank goodness that happened. Now, interestingly enough, Xbox developers who do not support smart delivery also have an option of a 2-game cross-gen bundle in a disc or digital form, which includes separate Xbox One and Xbox Series X versions. And we saw this happen with NBA 2K's gross move of having NBA 2K21 for a price of $100, giving you the Xbox or PS4 version, as well as the next version, as the next gen version as well. And I'll say this to the panel and of course the chat: we are now sailing into uncharted waters. Though it's really nice to know that Microsoft is out in front of this whole situation with smart delivery. What are your takes on this? And will other publishers not be willing to play ball with consumers? And I'll go to King first on this. King, smart delivery is something we've been hearing about for, I think almost a year now. They got in front of this. And of course, one of the biggest companies to get on board with Microsoft immediately was the fan favorite CD Projekt Red. Do you think that other companies are going to be charging, or do you think everyone's going to get in line?
There's going to be a ton of resistance. I told you, it's the greedy cow syndrome.
Mhm.
You have to show benefit. Now, CD Projekt Red, beautiful company. They have been giving you free content, AAA content for a long time. I'm pretty sure Microsoft saw this, and when Phil was in Poland and he had the conversation, everybody thought that he was there to purchase CD Projekt Red. I figured that he was there to purchase someone else, and that company will be named at a later date, I guess. And he was still making business with them, and the philosophy in bringing your content forward is paramount in Microsoft, right? So how do you expound on that philosophy? You expound on that philosophy by saying what you purchase today is relevant tomorrow. How can we do that? Is that possible? So when you talk to your teams and asking that particular question, you have to get a particular answer. And if your team can come up with an answer that makes that viable and feasible without doing anything out of the ordinary, then that has to be approached and it has to be taken forward. Now, you can do that and you can have that same mantra within your own company. But when you have to use that same mantra into talking to your third-party developers and your third-party companies, that's a little sticky because, again, it gets down to revenue streams. These companies look forward into making you pay double. Sony is the master at this. This has been done. And we know this. I purchased The Last of Us 2 knowing that there's a possibility that I will have to be purchasing a Last of Us remake on the PlayStation 5 that includes the multiplayer. I know this, okay? And I know this is a practice that they do. Once you keep that habit going, it's hard for them to break that habit. Did I expect EA, 2K, or Rockstar to break away from those habits? No, not at all. EA will tell you for a period of time, we will give you this window to purchase because they understand at this period of time, it's going to be hard as hell to get your hands on a console. Okay.
Yeah.
So they understand, okay, well, when is the most likely? Okay, so we can only sell X amount. They're not saying, oh, for a whole year, we're going to have this open. No, this is only going to be open for X amount of time. And in that period of time, if you purchase this game, you get the free upgrade. 2K took it a step further and said, well, you can buy our big bundle and then you get the upgrade in that for free, guaranteeing whatever loss that they were going to take on a new purchase will be covered going forward, right? So there's no loss in that company. They keep their revenue stream open. It takes a bold step when a company says we're going to do something that's consumer friendly in this capacity, and the other companies take forward and move forward. The only way that they will listen is if their revenue stream starts to dry up and they see the bounty that other companies are making when they're doing this. So if somebody says, I don't know what game comes out in this, let's say Ghost of Tsushima, right? Let's just take that game, right? Let's just say if Sony came out and say, you listen, they didn't say anything about Last of Us, but they say if you purchase Ghost of Tsushima, the upgraded version will be free on PlayStation 5 going forward.
They have said it, by the way, Jim Ryan.
Okay, so then that game, well, I already pre-ordered mine, so it better work. It better work, Jim. But going forward, that game gets the upgrade for free. Right now, let's just take it and put it a third party because that's the only big title I know. Let's just say it's not Sony; it's a third party company, and their big game is going forward. It takes that third party company to show the industry I'm willing to take this. So I give CD Projekt Red huge props in doing this in one of the most anticipated IPs that they could easily double dip. They could easily say, you're going to buy it here and you're going to have to buy it again if you want that next grade up, the bells and whistles. But they said if you purchase this product here now for these current gen, for these people right now, and then for the new people going forward, you will get the upgrade for free. that it takes a company of that magnitude with a game that is probably going to be generationally changing, how we view games going forward. It takes a game of this magnitude to do that. And I think people will take note after they see the success that CD Projekt Red has. They have to see it in order to emulate it. Some companies have to see that first. It's a copycat league, and they will definitely copycat the stuff going forward. So that's what I think is going to happen.
And that's tremendous points. And you know what, going back and seeing what CD Projekt Red could potentially, have people follow suit, because they are beloved for their choices on how they deliver their content. If you remember, The Witcher 3 had 13 weeks of free DLC. Yeah. And every game that you bought, every box you opened up had a thank you letter written. I mean, who does that? And CD Projekt Red is one of those companies. So it was great to see that. Mr. Badbit, Sin Vendetta says this after dropping an additional $2 super chat. Mr. Badbit, sorry, but not sorry. And I believe that he's talking about showing you those bloodborne statues. But let's bring you back into the conversation.
Yes.
Look, there's a lot to like about Microsoft. There's a lot to love about Phil Spencer and how he's handling not only the future of the Xbox brand, but its community. And smart delivery is something that is always in his vocabulary when talking about giving the best value to its players. How important do you think smart delivery is? And will developers also fall in line with some of the other bigger titles offering the option for upgraded in graphics for free?
I was playing Sea of Thieves with Luke Lore last night, and looking at that sea, I made a comment of, it's crazy this game came out. There's still not a game that does water better than this. And to see ray tracing on this game, it's without a doubt, Sea of Thieves is going to be I hope in that 23rd event, just to show, or probably even really the August event, showcasing ray tracing, because that's where you're going to get it, man. It's going to be nice. With that said, though, it is also surprising to me as a PlayStation gamer that PlayStation has, when it comes to the upgrade part, similar structure to Microsoft, but we're not hearing them talk about it like Microsoft's talking about it. As a whole, smart delivery is great, especially for the games that, like Gears, like Sea of Thieves, that are going to be taking advantage of it. It's fantastic. I beat this drum every time I'm on your show, but Xbox is in this unique place where, in terms of culture, they've been around less. They don't have as many, the most recognizable IP like Nintendo has, but they treat that culture with the most respect out of all of them.
Yeah,
right.
Great point.
And so that's where smart delivery kicks a lot of ass. This one, and I'm not saying this because I'm like, oh, sorry about it. People will forget that I just gave praise to Sea of Thieves of all games, but this was the only time where I was just like, man, I wish you went a little further. I get it. And it's for the same points, King, you made before, right? Companies aren't brave. Companies will tag along to whatever the wind blows. And right now you're seeing it blow in two directions. You're seeing the CD Projekt Red. Hey, you buy it once, it's free. And then you see 2K being 2K going, no, we're going to have this cross, you bundle situation. And you're seeing where companies lie. Right now, good news, Far Cry 6 officially revealed. Giancarlo Esposito,
my boy. The cover bad guy. Dope.
But Ubisoft states, this game, bam, buy it once. You buy it on your Xbox, it's there on your Series X. Buy it on your PS4, it's there on your PS5.
Yes.
That's promising. I would have just liked the step further, and this goes for PlayStation too. They're not, again, this is my feel the burn moment. This is how I feel. I would have liked them going, no, you buy the game once. You bought this game. This is yours. But on the same, point here, what King is mentioning is companies like money. And if they could double dip twice, they will double dip 3 times if they could.
Yep.
Right?
Well, all you have to do is look at Grand Theft Auto 5.
Oh my god.
Oh my God.
Oh my
We bought it.
God.
We
Boom.
bought it in the I bought it on the 360. I
Best
bought it on
example.
the Xbox One, and now 2K is going to want me to buy it
Buy
again.
it again. Yes. And so like that's the uncomfortable feeling, and the realization is, look, Rainbow Six Siege, that game's going to be backwards compatible.
Oh my god.
Forwards
I can't wait.
compatible. That's going to be,
Yes.
you put that PS4 disc, it's going to work on your PS5. You're going to get that upgrade version.
Yes.
Destiny 2 is going to work the same way, right?
Mhm.
Your games as a service, those games will have that upgrade. Why? Because they don't want to take the chance of double dipping.
Mhm.
Because what's more important is that you're in that, again, it's all about ecosystems. You're in the Destiny 2 camp. I got you. Here,
Yep.
now go to the Eververse, buy stuff. If all of a sudden,
Yes.
like if all of a sudden Destiny's like, no, if you want the next gen version, you buy this version and get the hell out. All right, you eat or you don't. Then you automatically cut that base less than half, and maybe people are mad and they just leave, or people just don't upgrade. They're content, like, you know, or they just leave because they're bored. You don't want to do that. So like you're seeing with games that have big enough audiences, that their audiences generally are casual audiences, like the Maddens, the 2Ks. I hate using the word casual and hardcore, but like those fans will probably bite the bullet twice, because they are the type of gamer that's going to buy a game or two and skedaddle. You know, it's those type of audiences that 2K knows. Listen, 2K also doesn't give a shit if you're mad at them, because they know I'm not buying it. They know I'm not, but they know that 5 other people will. And so that's the uncomfortable reality, is that I would have loved Xbox to go, no. This is how it is. You buy it on the Xbox ecosystem. It just carries on, you know, into your time of playing. But unfortunately,
you just really can't dictate that, you know, to a third party company that is, they're basically allowing you to have their game.
Yeah,
you know, right? They're not. Some of these bigger third party companies are not in a position to be beholden to Microsoft or Sony.
Yeah.
So
especially right now too, because like if they went to if 2K was just like, not 2K, maybe not the best example. Far Cry. Let's just say Far Cry.
Yeah.
Far Cry had the dumb upgrade, like, you know, pay $80 for it, which it doesn't. Again, need to be clear, but for lack of examples, you know. And Microsoft made that hard stance. Then Ubisoft's like, all right then, and possibly go over to PlayStation. Go, hey, you want an exclusive deal?
Exactly.
For I don't know how long. And then PlayStation be like, yeah, okay, here's money
for sure. Yeah.
And that is why they didn't take that brave, hard, the most pro consumer, you know, feel the burn thing. So like for me, I would have liked it, but I love smart delivery. And I love how Microsoft is making this a big deal, because at the end of the day, smart delivery is not selling me on an Xbox. Like backwards compatibility isn't selling me on an Xbox, but what it does do is enhance my experience with Xbox.
Yes.
And it makes them seem like they are for me. Right. And at the end of the day, when we're talking the backwards compatibility, and this is my long speech and I'm over, is Microsoft, you know, they're doing it because they see that opportunity to continue making money and to continue making these games that have been made for 10 plus years ago able to be profitable again, to make that profit. So you're not going to see every single Xbox game ever land on that back compat. They're doing it in a way where it's just like, yeah, Jade Empire comes in, brute force, you stay in the corner.
Yes,
right? Like,
exactly.
And same with when it comes to the PlayStation Now aspect, with the you know, the PlayStation backwards compatibility, they're gonna be like, listen, brute force, you stay in the corner, Ratchet and Clank up your arsenal, you come in.
Yeah.
Like it's about that, and it's about having, again, these games serve longer tails, because what we're seeing now is games are getting so expensive to make.
Right.
It's
I'm
about
gonna look
that
up
money,
Brute
honey.
Force right
You know?
now because I like that game.
Yeah,
I love that game too. Unapologetically, I love that game.
Absolutely. Crispy Bomb. Let's bring you back into the conversation. Now, obviously, Microsoft has a lot going for their company. They are making moves that they didn't do this current generation that cost them said generation. And when you talk about Xbox Game Pass being the ultimate value in gaming, and it is, there's no doubt about it. Now you add smart delivery, and now you see some big companies. You got Ubisoft, one of the biggest publishers, saying that, yeah, Far Cry 6, you buy it once. Assassin's Creed Valhalla, you buy it once. Don't worry, upgrade for free. The darling of the industry, known as CD Projekt Red, they jump in first and say, yes, don't worry, it's not going to be available when these consoles come out, but next year you're going to get the upgrade for free. And we're starting to see some people come around. We're also starting to see a little shenanigans going on with a place like 2K, who is known for being I'm sorry to say this again, an industry scumbag when it comes to, of course, raking their customers over the coals with their now charging $100 for both versions.
NBA 2K Casino. What are you talking about?
Basically, that's exactly what it is. So, what are your thoughts on Phil Spencer really driving home smart delivery? And do you think that more companies, considering that the economic crisis that we're in, should also get in line?
I always go back to when Phil took over, and you felt like Xbox was gonna just die. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
He had to change the mentality and the focus of Microsoft, because you have to realize that when a company is, or a part of a company is doing bad, they're not hitting their projections. Okay, so the projections, you have to be like very far off from the actual projection for a company to be like, we need a new head, we need a new vision, and he gave them that vision, and that was Game Pass. Yes. And Game Pass has completely changed Microsoft's mentality as far as using back compat technology to be able to push forward what we're going to get with the Series X. The problem is you have companies like 2K and such that may have not taken into account those type of projections. So they're looking for a certain amount of money from selling a game twice or whatever else. And that certain amount of money they can't make up because they don't want to, they want to do smart delivery, but they can't. And sometimes that can happen. I don't think 2K would. They're always going to have their projections, saying that they're going to sell a game again until the near future. I mean, like you said, Grand Theft Auto. I mean, I know many people that have bought it numerous times. So, and that's the point. I mean, and that's why I think you don't see right now. We want to see PS Now become a day and date service. Yes. But I feel like they're going to have games that they're going to want to sell as a remaster or attach a multiplayer to it with, upgraded graphics. And then there's going to be some games where they don't see that there's a need for that. And they're going to say, hey, you can have it and it'll be automatically upgraded. The beauty of it is smart delivery can help the third parties do this at basically no additional cost for the most part. It maybe a little bit of help from Microsoft to top it off, even on their end. And it makes it easier for them, especially the smaller devs. And you're gonna see a lot of probably more AA studios really embrace this. And they might not be announced, but we're gonna see it just in what we play. And that's where we go and say this is gonna be a generation where there's gonna be a lot of different things going on. And I applaud Microsoft for at least taking a stance, and saying like, we're providing this, you should be using it. And some of these, like 2K saying they're using, different assets and, they're basically building the game from the ground up. And that's the reason why they're doing it. I don't know. I mean, we got to see that the proofs in the visuals and everything else, how the game plays. Is it going to be just upgraded graphics? Probably. So, I mean,
you see, the ball has more polygons now.
You know what I mean? There's more sweat on his face.
Yeah.
Like
now he's just swimming.
It's up to you if it's worth it or not. You know what I mean? And And that's where it could hurt them. They could make a ton of money from it. And if they make a ton of money from it, they're just going to continue to do it. And they're going to be one of those companies, that is going to dip on everything, because like we said, I have no interest in playing 2K because, like there's so many microtransactions and stuff. I don't feel like, you pay for a game and you still have to pay for more. And that's kind of pathetic. I mean, you can have microtransactions, but I mean, to have that many from what I've seen, I kudos those people that love that game. And, it is a great playing game, but I mean, it doesn't grab me. Games as a service has to grab you. It has to continue to want to, gain any of these cosmetics or anything like that. And, some games are really good at it, like Fortnite, and some games just, make it a big gamble.
They're just
like
gross.
UGA, so.
They're gross.
Well, look, I'll say this. First of all, everyone had an amazing opinions. Obviously, it was a smaller panel. We were able to get to 4 major topics. Everyone just kind of went crazy with that, giving their incredible opinions. And we had almost 400 people on a Friday morning, and that's freaking really great. Real quick, let me just catch up on some of these super chats, and we'll get everybody out of here. Avish Plus Productions drops an outstanding $5 super chat. Avish, thanks for being here. He says, you also have to equate console going digital. This is more income for the developers. Series S and PS5 digital made those developers smile. Oh, there's no doubt about it, because they do get more. JD Gamer is here. JD, thanks so much for hanging out, but also dropping an outstanding and very generous $5 super chat. He says, Big Phil has said we won't. Oh, I just lost. Okay, he says Big Phil has said we won't be beat on price or power. We are here to compete. And now he's saying, put your money where your mouth is a la games. Yes, and that's a great point. And he drops another $5 super chat and says, Sony comes from the entertainment industry, and the standard there is first run in theaters, console games, second run DVD, Blu-ray, PS Now, third run PC. And that's probably where the mentality comes from. But you know what? Let's get everybody out of here. And we'll start with, of course, Crispy Bomb. First of all, dude, thanks so much for being here. Thanks for being a part of Double Barrel Gaming each and every week. Do me a favor, dude. Tell everyone where they can follow you on social media. But more importantly, check out you, our very good friend, Graphic God, and the gang on Retro Renegades Weekly on Wednesdays.
Always a pleasure with you guys. Chat was fire today. It's at Crispy Bomb on Twitter, Crispy Bomb 28 Xbox Live. We're going to be doing a little Mortal Kombat 11 fight night tonight. So, if you're down for that, hit me up. Definitely. Next podcast, Saturday, 7 p.m. We got Tuesday night Retro Renegades, 7 p.m. And you will find me here on Breakfast with Boom, 10 a.m. Fridays.
Yes. Well, thanks so much for being here. And of course, we look forward to Retro Renegades. It's a great program with a bunch of guys just playing some older games, having some fun, and cracking some beers. Next up, we're going to go with Mr. Badbit. Now, Mr. Badbit, you're obviously been making some waves with the Trophy Room, but you've also found your way over to not only Breakfast with Boom, but the Xbox Factor podcast. Do me a favor, dude. Tell everyone where they can find your amazing YouTube channel that is growing at record paces, but also reach out to you on social media.
Yeah, so you can find me over at Bad Bit Games over on YouTube, where we talk about all things game news, reviews, and unboxings. The video, the welcome back video where I'm getting back into the groove, starts on Monday.
Nice.
I'm going to be talking about my Xbox predictions and what we know about both consoles so far. That happens. I get that video out on Wednesday. So if you like, go over to there. Bad Big Games on YouTube. You can find the Trophy Room also on Bad Big Games on YouTube, or you can find it on whatever podcast service is out there, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. You can find me there. You can find me, Mr. Also for the Trophy Room, totally forgot, our Ghost of Tsushima review will drop on the 14th on Wednesday.
Nice.
It's a special episode feed. So go ahead, subscribe if you guys are pumped for Ghost of Tsushima like we are. And find out what our good friend Brock McLaughlin has to say about the game. That said, you can follow the show over at PS Trophy Room, or you can follow me at Mr. Badbit on Twitter. So there you go.
Thanks again. Thanks for being here, Joe. Super appreciate it. And the last, and in no way least, we have the most powerful voice of the Iron Lords podcast. That goes live Sunday afternoons at 1 p.m. You also need to check out lordsofgaming.net. That is the website that does everything gaming and should be your first and only place to get your gaming news. Also, we have the King of Statues, something that everyone, including Mrs. Boomstick, looks forward to each and every week when King drops those amazing statues. But it's also his news bomb knowledge on Marvel and DC that he talks about during those shows that make it a premiere video that you need to check out. King David, thanks so much for being here. Do me a favor, dude. Tell everyone where they can follow you on social media and also check you out on social media.
Oh, thank you, Boom. Thank you, Crispy. Thank you, Mr. Babbitt. Babbitt.
Yeah.
I sat here and I try. I mean, because when somebody gives me a problem, I sit here and I try to work it out, especially as a business problem. Crispy said something, and I worked out how they can get the extra money. They must be seeing a crap ton of money from digital to offset the cost on the Xbox Live. So where they're getting more money from their digital sales that they can supplant that with Xbox Live and offer that for free and get more digital sales through Game Pass. So I mean, I was sitting here trying to crunch the numbers to hell because we've been hearing people talking about it, and you guys definitely made me catch an epiphany. Thank you so much.
Of course, and real talk while we're having this little bromance moment, every week is fantastic to have you because your insights are amazing.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. You can catch me on King David OTW on Twitter. Same thing on Microsoft Xbox Live. All on PlayStation. That's my PlayStation Social Security, or my name is Xbox 360 Lover 01. I am not trolling. I need friends, please. I think the name is standoffish. Also, you can catch me at Darth Castle X tonight at 9 p.m. That is the statue open mic that I'm on every week. We talk statues, we talk comic books, we talk video games, we talk everything that's entertainment. It's fun. It's a little bit more adult. So you're going to catch some stuff there. Put the kiddies to bed. It's 9:00 and we're up. So thank you, Boom. I do appreciate everything you do. And this lovely community, you guys definitely rock. Keep supporting Boom and this whole panel because these guys are definitely the bee's knees.
Well, thank you so much for that, King. Real quick, Smars in the chat is asking, just curious, where does the Double Barrel Gaming name come from? And it is because of my love of the Evil Dead. Of course, that is where Double Barrel Gaming, because, you know, obviously Ash Williams carries a double barrel shotgun, and being a fan, of course, my brothers in the chat, Neo Mental, we have watched those movies hundreds and hundreds of times. As a matter of fact, we nearly died going to see Army of Darkness in a blizzard in Yonkers, New York, but we went to see it anyway, and it was great, and it's one of our favorite films. And yes, that is where that name comes from. But real quick, before we get everybody out of here, I gotta throw up something on the screen. You know him as Graphic God, and he is a sponsor of Double Barrel Gaming and has been since its inception. I just want to do a little commercial for him before we get everybody out of here. Obviously, if you've seen the work, you've seen the intros, you're going to see another one just in a few seconds, and those are all handcrafted by our good friend Jay, known as Graphic God on social media, but he's also one of the hosts of course, Retro Renegades, and his work is impeccable. He's very detailed in what he does. He's very accepting in your ideas where he meshes them with his own, and his prices are very reasonable. He works with everyone, and the way he handles his business is unlike anyone else. So if you're interested in getting a banner, original IP, original artwork done for you, whether it be for Twitter, whether it be for Facebook, whether it be for your own YouTube channel, head over to Graphic God Productions, and you can reach out to Jay at graphic_God, and also hit him up on xboxgamerpicks.com, and obviously you can tell him that Boom sent you. So anyway, listen, I want to close out the show with something that, again, has been important to me my entire life and might be important to you, and something that my dad taught me. He used to say, son, treat others how you want to be treated, and also it doesn't cost anything to be nice. To live by those rules, and I can guarantee you you're going to have an awesome day. Have a great weekend, everyone. Be safe, be smart, play games on wherever you want to play. And we'll see you next Friday morning on the newest episode of Breakfast with Boom. Take care, everyone.